Welcome back to Stu's DIY. In today's video, we're going to do a full service on this Exmark Radius 48-inch deck. It's got the Kohler motor in it. I believe it's 18 horse. Drop a comment down below if I'm right or wrong. Yeah, so I bought this machine for my dad's 60th birthday a couple years back. It's only got 300 hours on it, 350 somewhere in there, 363.8 to be exact. So we're going to go ahead and do the oil change and hydraulic change as well. The manufacturer recommends every 3 years for the hydros. So there's 2 filters, one on the right side axle, one on the left side axle, and then obviously the fill and drainer below. So we're going to get that done today. Consider subscribing, leave a comment down below if you like Exmark versus John Deere or any other brand. Like to hear back from you on what you guys like. Obviously the zero turn has its benefits versus the John Deere X758. Both of these models are 2018, except for the Deere it's 2017. So obviously there's benefits to the zero turn, and there's also benefits to the four-wheel drive John Deere as well. But yeah, drop a comment down below. Let me know which one you like better, the zero turn or a regular, garden tractor for a lawnmower, or mid to small compact tractor. But yeah, let's get into this. All right, guys, we're back. First things first, let's go ahead and move this rollover protection out of the way. Bring it up so that way it gets out of our way here. Obviously it's got this quick drain hose right here that runs to the bottom of the motor. You just pull it down, undo it, route it to your oil pan, and then go ahead and I just put a regular screw in it, bolt. So let's grab a pair of pliers and undo that bolt, and then it should come out. Should come out just fine. Obviously your oil filter is here, engine fill. Then over here, if you flip this cap up, you got your air filter as well. So that's just for the engine maintenance. Obviously a spark plug, coil and spark plug, and one on the other side as well. So let me grab a pair of pliers, stand by. Take this bolt out, and this will drain the oil. But you see how slow that is? I mean, it's just barely trickling out of there. Not a huge fan of that. I'm not saying it needs to rush out and be drained in 2 seconds, but for 4 quarts, it takes a few minutes to drain out. So once this is drained, I'll turn the camera back on, but you get the point, right? It's just trying to slowly dribbling out of there. So I'm not gonna bore you with that. All right, so I laid out the oil. Obviously I went to the Exmark dealer and got an oil filter for it. So it's part number 126-5234 is the oil filter that is for this machine. And then it takes 3 quarts of 1030 weight, whatever their recommended full season blend, so to speak. So, altogether, I think the price for just the oil change, just to give you guys a reference, was, let's see, 35 bucks for three quarts of oil, and oil filter was 20 bucks. So $11 a pop, almost $12 a pop for this, and $20 for the engine oil filter. So, not horrible, especially with today's prices. So we'll let this get drained out here, and we'll go ahead and change the oil filter and top it off. So the one thing I do on this mower, and it seems pretty helpful, is I'll just take a plastic bag, from the auto parts store or wherever, Walmart, whatever, and I'll slide it underneath the oil filter, so when I unscrew it, the oil that is residual will drain out and hopefully catch right in this bag versus running a place we don't want it besides the pan. So just a little tip, just put a bag under there, especially for this unit. There's an open space, and whatever oil, you can just capture it so it doesn't just run all over your machine. So I got these little blue pair of channel lock oil filter pliers. They work real good for getting in tight places, you know. So if you guys are looking for something like that, these work pretty good. Then spin it off quick, tilt it up. So now most of your oil is caught in the bag, as you see down here. So let whatever little bit dribble out, it'll be caught in the bag, hopefully. And you'll be able to see your seal face as well. So here's the O-ring, if I can get it off. I'll show you here down in there, but there's an O-ring on the filter. You don't want to, obviously in my previous video when I changed oil on my truck, I mentioned that if the filter stays on the machine and then you screw your other filter on, you'll have two gaskets, so when it pressurizes, it's going to blow between the two gaskets and make one heck of a mess down here. So note to self, just always check to make sure the gasket's not left on there. All right. So you see how this seal face right here all the way around is nice and shiny. It would be black still if the O-ring was to still be on here. So that's something to check. And like I said, it's got a little oil lip right here to help throw the oil out so it doesn't go directly under the motor, but I put the bag in there just to catch it. So what I'll do now is I'll throw the new filter on and then take a towel and wipe that stuff off below the filter and then remove the bag, and it should be pretty good. Take a little oil, and like I say, that ring is dry, so put a little oil on it and then go ahead and thread her on. Now I don't go too tight, you know, there's tight and then just a little bit more, but I don't hog on it, because then it'll be a pain in the butt to get off. And then we'll take a rag, remove this, set it somewhere so it doesn't leak everywhere, clean that plate off. All that oil came down off that plate. So that's good. So now you have a nice clean, you guys can see down there, nice clean area. There's no oil from the filter. So the bag trick worked. And then obviously it's still draining into our oil pan 700 minutes later. So hopefully that'll be done draining soon, but the new filter's on, and the next step will be putting some oil in this thing. All right, so I was able to get it drained out. So now we'll have to put the screw back in here. So the reason I put a plug in it is because, oh, let me move you. So right on the top side of here, there's a piece that was to mate up with the other side of the hose. And the problem is it broke off. So had to put a plug in it. Either way, we'll reroute this back up. And, oh geez, stick it back up in there. Boom, perfect. Okay, so get you set up here and we'll start filling this unit. So it says it takes, according to the book, 2.2 quarts. So we'll fill it up to about 2.5, 2.3 or so, and then start it and check it. So the interesting fact about Exmark oil is they dye it blue, so it's easier to, I guess, check when you're doing, easier to check on the dipstick. just a little fun fact. Like I said, this is 1030 weight oil. Set it in there for a minute. Let it get all the last little bits out. Set that one to the side. Open up another one. I always pull the funnel out of the spout just a little bit, just to allow it to breathe. Because if it's stuck all the way in and it doesn't breathe, it wants to try to burp out of the between the funnel and the dipstick fill pipe. So pull it out just a little bit and it lets it breathe. Leave that in there for a minute. So, but yeah, this machine has, you know, 300 hours on it. Like I said, 363 hours. You know, the dealer recommends changing the hydraulic oil every 500 hours. So, you know, I mean, it's up to you guys. I like to change it every 3, just so that way I know I don't have any problems. It doesn't get used like in a commercial setting, so it's not like we're beating the heck out of it, running it every day, 8 hours, 10 hours a day in the middle of the summer. So, you know, I just, like I said, changing oil, both engine and hydraulic, is cheap insurance. You know, if something was to go bad with the motor, I'm sure it's expensive. So, you know, cheap insurance is oil changes, in my opinion. So we got 2 quarts in it now. Let's give it 2.2, 2.3 quarts. And I usually have a knife in my pocket. That's why I'm walking away. It's just to poke a hole in the top so I can get into the jug. So we'll try that and see what it shows us here. So on the dipstick, you have an add, a checkered mark, and a full. So in between the checkered mark, closer to the full side, is where I run it at. Now, we haven't primed the oil filter yet, so that will take some oil. So right now, as you see, it's in the hash mark right at the top of the full limit. So let's start this, prime the oil filter, and then we'll add a little bit more oil because the filter takes, I don't know, just a little bit. So let's set you guys up right here. Let's prime this thing. As Diesel Creek would say, contact. So we started it, let it run for a few seconds here, as you've seen, and it should have filled the oil filter with oil. Obviously, with running it, we're verifying that there's no leaks. Like I mentioned, the double gasket on the oil filter to the actual motor housing. You don't have to run it forever to try to like get it super hot. We're just doing it just to fill the oil filter, and then we'll be able to check it here. So let's get set up and we'll check it here. Okay, so now with it filling it, so it brought it down from the top of the hash mark, as you see there, to halfway. So I guess it's your opinion on whether you want to run it at half or if you want to run it totally full. Half is a good way. This is an oil cooled machine, so you don't have to worry about antifreeze getting in with your oil. So figure we'll leave it at half. My dad will check it every time before we mow. So, you know, it's a good deal there. You also have your hydraulic reservoir here. It does show full on cold, and then as it warms up, the oil will expand and get up to the hot side. But that's the reservoir there. It also does have a belt layout in case you break your belt. You know, one thing I did add to it, which this was actually off of the John Deere X758. It's the hitch mount for the back. It didn't come with it from factory, so I purchased it at the dealer for the John Deere, but I ended up needing one for the Deere and one for this. I just drilled some holes, put the hitch in it, and I can pull around the yard cart, or I can move the trailer or whatever you might need. Obviously it's not super strong, but just a little empty utility trailer will be fine, or yard cart or whatever. I do have a battery tender mounted to it, so that way, you know, just keep it tended, keep this battery going, because these little suckers aren't cheap. I did put the suspension seat on it because it was like riding on a 2x4 without the suspension seat, bouncy around. So other than that, everything else is stock with this machine. So, well, I think that concludes the video for today. We just did the oil change on it. Maybe in another video I'll do the hydraulic oil, but let's get this job cleaned up here. And you know, any comments you have, if you guys have an Exmark, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of them, if you don't like them, what the difference is between maybe John Deere versus Exmark. Yeah, just let me know. Reach out to me, like, subscribe. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you.